can you tell what's, AI created versus not AI created? And do you kind of see that? Welcome to I'm an Asset podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brianne Smith.
And I'm your other host, Zachary Wilson. Today, I have one question I just wanted to ask. I thought it'd be interesting for you guys to hear how she would respond to this. And then she's got something I have no clue what it is. What is it?
So we'll see where this goes.
Okay, it's a surprise to me. So this is gonna be like an impromptu, genuine conversation that we hadn't talked about beforehand. So my first question was, I was thinking about this. I'm a pretty ambitious person. I think I'm kind of I think I'm a good leader. I think I've been given that gift, and I think I'd be good at running like a business one day. That's something I really want to do, and I could see myself running an accounting business. But I was just wondering, do you think it's possible to run an accounting business with only having an undergrad in accounting? Like, maybe you could go get your CPA, your PFS, but I'm talking without a master's and without any kind of PhD or doctorate degree. What do you think?
Yes, I actually do think this is a great question. I do think that you can run a business just in general without a master's degree. And I think you can run an accounting firm without a master's degree. So a little bit of history on the CPA exam and what's going on with that right now is it used to not be required to have a master's degree. So prior to me being a CPA, and most of the firm owners, all of the firm owners actually that I worked for initially in the firm I started with, none of them had master's degrees, and they own and ran a CPA firm.
Mm-hmm.
And then the new extra year requirement came about, and everybody now, the younger cohorts, have master's degrees to get their CPA. But now we're turning back again to not the only pathway. It's definitely a pathway to get your master's and your CPA, but I don't think that you have to have a master's to run a business. What I do like about getting the extra year of education is it's more work on the project, higher level mastery of what you've learned in your undergrad. And I do think it polishes you for not only being a leader, but just, all the other elements of personal capital that we talk about, skills, deadlines, networking. You definitely get closer with your professors having that extra year. And I still, talk to professors from my master's program. And then I also think that you have to think about possibly, because you've mentioned it before, is there a possibility you would ever want to go back and get your doctorate?
Mm-hmm.
Then getting your master's right after your undergrad is probably a good idea.
Interesting. Because for me, I just graduated high school, and it feels like I'm just being thrown right back into school. It's like, what was the point of all that if I just have to go right back to school anyway? And then it's like, well, now that I got my undergrad, do I have to go get a master's too? And it's like, at this point, I just want to work. And I think a lot of people feel the same way, but I was like, well, if I really want to take my business to a high level someday, would that expertise be necessary? Because, maybe I want to hire people with a master's, and I feel like it would be weird if I'm the one who's running the place,
Mm-hmm.
but there are people who are under me, but they have a higher level of education than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking I don't know, maybe I should get my master's, even though I don't have to get my CPA and to start working and, do good work. But
yeah, I think looking back at how it used to be when I started, and all of my bosses and supervisors didn't have an advanced degree, but I did,
mm-hmm.
didn't really make a difference
Mm-hmm.
as far as their length of experience and what they knew and could still teach me in practice. It was the master's degree definitely helped me study for the CPA exam, stay connected with a school at the same time I was studying for an exam. And I also worked while I was in the master's degree.
Yeah.
So I think all of those things really did help me. I think they could you too. I think if you have a pathway to CPA that includes a master's, it's definitely something to look at. But it's not the only way now, or won't be the only way in the future.
Interesting. Do most firms support you getting your master's while working for them? Like they'll let you work and get your master's?
Right. From an employer perspective, and I'm an employer, and we have asked other employers in town about, are you really looking for a student to continue to go and get their master's out of school? And the overarching answer has been, I don't really care how, you get the CPA. We definitely want you to get it. And then also not necessarily caring about which pathway, but definitely my perspective too is the quickest way you can do that is also great. So we would love you to be, as far as my perspective on you is, I want you back as quickly as you can get here.
I mean, so do I. Like, I want to work.
So, but also that might not be the best way for you to achieve getting the CPA by coming back, trying to work full time and getting the CPA while you're working full time versus maybe still working part time, being in the master's program and getting the CPA. I don't know. And I think it's going to be a very individual answer. I don't think everybody is going to be the same. What's great about these new rules that are coming out at the end of this year is that there's multiple pathways.
Yeah. Well, I've already heard some people start talking about it. And, I was talking with a guy who was currently in the master's program about it. So that's kind of what sparked this thought. So thank you for answering that. I have no clue if this initial discussion is related to what you wanted to talk about today. So
it's actually, maybe indirectly it is related, but I wanted to talk to you about technology, which is interesting because at lunch you brought up technology and systems at lunch, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that too. But I think it's related to the future of education and what, it is a little bit related in that way, and that I want to know how artificial intelligence and the rapid advancement of technology over just the last couple of months, I want to know if it's impacted you at all in school.
Definitely. You just want me to list how? Okay. I'm going to list how it has impacted me, and specifically what I use it for. And then I'm sure you have something else after that, but eventually I want to talk about what I think about this and where our world is heading with this. So for me, a lot of our classes bring it up for us, and it's not just don't use AI to cheat. It's specifically in my MIS class, they're I remember the first day I had a small talk with the professor after class. I was talking about AI or something, and she said Google requires its employees to use AI because nowadays it's if you're not using AI to help you, you're just not, you're just falling behind the competition. And a lot of our classes, we have a class that helps you kind of manage, where your career is heading, or maybe your time management, and just stuff like that. Well, it heavily encourages the use of AI. Use AI to maybe list off some potential careers if this is, the major you're taking and the kind of lifestyle you want or the amount of money you want. AI can go and find a bunch of stuff for you. Or if you so I've done that. I've used AI and looked for stuff and used that to complete a project. I've also used AI for, which we were told to use AI for this, to make a schedule. I put in my syllabi for all my classes into ChatGPT or Copilot and this code, and it just spit out a Word document with a calendar of all my schedules and everything. And then last thing I'll say, there are artificial intelligence bots that are being used for interviews, or you can give it your resume and it'll use AI to say, well, this part of your resume is good, but this could use a little tweaking. This doesn't really sound in line with everything, or this is just not a good skill to have here, or whatever. Change your grammar here, stuff like that. And then also you can even hop into an interview, which is, it'll just record you and it'll ask you questions. You'll answer the questions and it'll be this is the enthusiasm of your voice right here, because when we talk, we naturally like intonate higher and lower, like our pitches. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
that's the right word, but like, our conversation has like I don't talk in the same tone like the whole time. It even tracks eye contact in
Interesting.
your mock
Yeah.
interview. So like you got to be looking at the camera if you want to get a good score on your eye contact, and it measures how long you like wait to answer questions and stuff like that.
Which class is this?
This is specifically for my professional development class.
What tool is that?
It's called Quincia. We
Quincia.
had another one called VMock, but everyone hated VMock. So I had a professional development class last year. We use VMock. Hopefully this isn't like defamation, but like VMock was just like, it was just harder to use, and they switched over to Quincia, and everyone's like, this is a lot better. So we've been doing that, and
Cool.
that's like literally all that stuff. All my classes have been using that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, I'll say one more thing. When I can't figure out the answer to a problem, and I don't use AI to cheat, okay? I want to talk about this later. AI should not be a replacement, it should be a supplement. But that's all I'm going to say for now. Like, if I can't figure out something, I'll put AI in, and AI won't just give you the answer, it'll give you how it got the answer. So, like, I can learn with AI.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I've, over the last 2 years, rapidly advanced my skills and abilities, technology and outside of technology, my research skills, my analytical skills in the use of artificial intelligence, because like you just said, it will show me how to do something I want to know how to do. I'll say, give me the steps to do this thing, and then I will do that, and then now I know how to do it. And so it's really helped me develop a lot of different skills. I want to ask a follow-up question. Is that was a very good overview.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking with you more about the tools that you use. I recently, just this last week, was a guest lecture in a marketing 4000 class at AUM, and I was very thankful to be asked for the opportunity to speak to marketing students, because I'm normally talking to accounting students or accounting industry stakeholders or partners, peers, whatever. So I talked to the marketing class about artificial intelligence, and my whole speech was really about, or presentation was about, how generative AI is really making everybody sound the same. So before I tell you kind of the solution to that, I want to know how you feel about that. Can you tell what's AI created versus not AI created, and do you kind of see that in school, that your outputs and what they generate sounds like AI?
Yes, I can tell. So I feel like it depends on what generation you're from, but like I can tell because I've spent a lot of time online, and I'm kind of I'd say technologically sufficient. So I have a lot of context too. I'll say the other week in my accounting class, we had a problem that was talking about sales discounts, and we had to calculate it. And there was something about Xbox made a sales bundle, and we had to calculate something for my accounting class. And our teacher made a graphic that said like Xbox and the subscription for this much, and you're like saving this much money, and it had a picture of an Xbox, and it had like a picture of like a contract or something. And I just remember thinking like, that is an Xbox. This looks like a good graphic, but this is never something like Microsoft would make. I don't know, like I can't, it's hard to describe. But like there's just something about it. Even if it didn't look like AI, like just having the context of knowing like what Microsoft's ads typically look like, I was like, they don't make ads that look like this. Like I could tell it was AI. And later in the class, she was like, this is AI. And she, this is an intro to accounting class. So it's not just accounting majors. So she made the point of saying, marketing majors, people can make like marketing ads with AI now. So you have to, kind of just think about that, which is, I don't know if that's the direction you were planning on taking this conversation, but that's all I'll say.
Yeah. So building on what you just said is that everybody can use AI to create content. And if you don't add something else to it, everything is going to start just sounding and looking the same.
Yeah.
And my whole point in talking with kind of teaching them a little bit about their future careers and how to incorporate AI into their marketing strategies is this element of taste. So if everybody is going to sound the same, look the same, use the same tools, and we've kind of got this monotone now of content, what will rise above and get attention is the content with taste, added taste and personality. And so we talked a little bit about how you can add taste to this, not just copy paste what you get out of artificial intelligence, but adding your soul, because we said, these machines are machines. They don't have a soul. They don't have taste, they're word predictors, etc. And I thought that was well received, and we had some really good conversation about taste. So I want to know, when you're using artificial intelligence, how do you add your personality or your spin or your taste to what you are using it for?
Interesting. Okay, this might be a little more challenging for me to answer because I was talking about how I use AI for stuff earlier, but I mainly use AI to help me. But like, I will make the product myself. I don't really have it make something and then give my own flair to it. But I would say, like, if I were to do that, I think I would use it as a framework, not a replacement. Like, I would, especially if it was something I didn't know much about, I would like use it, but then I would go in and make sure like it still sounded human. Because if I can tell if it's AI, I don't know what it is. I just don't want to
It doesn't have a soul. Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Like when I'm scroll, like, when you're all the short form content nowadays in between has AI generated ads, and it's so like obvious that it's AI. It's the voice in the background. It's that the sentences they sound like too robotic, or they're just like they don't really make sense sometimes. Or like visually, you can tell when something's AI because it can really get like a majority of like what it's trying to create down, but there's just like little things. There's just like something about it you can tell. And it's really weird because it's like a robot made this and they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. But then you got to add your heart to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's missing. And I think that was the whole goal of that. I was also recently I won't give too much detail about where we were because of what I'm about to say, but basically I was at a place where two people got up and spoke. And the first person, who was definitely a more higher up person, read their speech. And their speech was 100% printed straight out of ChatGPT. I mean, it was very obvious. And it was also like, you can tell, like when someone is, especially even if you're reading it, you can tell that this was generated with AI. And then right after this person, a young person got up and just did an off the cuff speech. And it was all about their personal experience, how they felt about certain things. And, it was so much better. And I thought that was exactly what I was trying to say, is that, you can really, if you're not too careful, you can just start creating with heartless content and heartless thoughts and, outputs that are just coming from, machine. But the human side of what we do is so important to maintain. So that's kind of where we got.
I massively agree with that. And I think like as humans, we kind of naturally want that human element. Maybe that's what drives me away from my purely AI ad, is that I'm like, this is just done for like money or whatever. Like this is, there was no effort put into this. I want to know that someone is like trying. I don't know. It's, a book you would really like. You ever heard of the author Kurt Vonnegut?
Mm-hmm.
What's I can't think of any of his other works off the top of my head, but I've read a couple of his books. But the main one I'm thinking of is Player Piano. Have you ever read that?
No, but you have told me about this book.
I have told you about this. So I don't want to spend too long because this podcast could go on for hours. I love this book. But the premise of the book is spoilers, by the way. You should go read it. But the premise of the book is this guy who's very successful. So you don't even need to factor in that he needs money, or he even has like a wife. Like he doesn't need any of these things that most people would define as success. So you can take that out of the equation. But he manages these robots that do all of the human work. And they kind of live in almost a communist society, even though the book takes place in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
because machines do everything. And there's a computer that determines how much of everything everybody gets. And nobody questions it because the computer's perfect. Like they just think, like the computer just knows everything. And it orders, how much refrigerators to make in a week. And all the people have the same house, and they all have the same dishwasher and TV,
Mm-hmm.
and everything's like government. But the way the book ends is there's an uprising because people were tired of being ruled by the machines. And but it's not just that. I can't explain it. I would sit here literally for hours explaining. That's because if you've read the book, that's like not it. There's like more to it.
Mm-hmm.
But
also if it's so relevant in what we're talking about though too, because I can see a video now and I can tell for the most part that it's artificially generated. It's not a real person talking. But then some videos I'm like, I'm not sure. Is this real? Or there's some deep fakes out there and you're like, oh. So we're getting to the point now where we're not trusting our phones and what we hear and see. And we are really more looking to picking up the phone and talking to that person or having the one face-to-face conversation just so we can be sure. So we are all craving more human side, even though we have access to all this really cool tech. But I've got to read that book because I think I would like it.
I think it more focuses on like taking pride in your work and like what's the point of existence if robots are going to do everything for us anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I want to be able to talk to someone who's actually been through it,
The book?
No, like when I'm asking someone about a problem I'm having, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't want like you can go online and ask ChatGPT, I'm dealing with this, and it'll be like, oh, it'll give some sympathetic comment, like,
yeah, because
lots of people deal with this.
ChatGPT is your best friend, really, your biggest cheerleader.
Or to say like, sure thing, I have a whole list right here for you, and it'll say like, maybe I should think of an example. Maybe I'll say like, how do I hang a picture frame on the wall? It'd be like, sure, this is how to do it. First, find a good nail, and like, you're gonna do this and check with the stud, and then hang it up on the wall. But if I asked my dad how to do it, I'd get a lot more of a different response, and I'd probably get a story about hanging up a picture frame.
Yeah.
But I feel like my dad would also tell me like stuff you might not think of like thinking about. Like how do I say this? Like maybe your dad would be like, well, what picture are you hanging? You're like, I'm hanging this picture of this. And he's like, you want a picture of that in the hallway?
Yeah.
That doesn't really make sense. Whereas like ChatGPT, I don't know.
Because ChatGPT has not actually ever hung a picture frame, but your dad has and has lots of different experiences around hanging a picture. So that is a really great example of what we don't want to lose as we venture forward in this AI economy and world. And like I said, it's rapidly changing. So I feel like this is a conversation I'm going to want to continue to have with you as we navigate through the end of this semester and into this summer. We've got some exciting things coming this summer and a special series Zachary and I are going to be doing, which we will not spoil just yet, but we will be launching
Looking forward
in the
to
next couple of months.
Yeah.
So
I'm really glad you brought up this topic because this is like,
yeah,
it can give good answers. It's just like,
it has no
there's a
soul.
lot of complexity. To
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the conversation. Glad to have you in town today, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.